GM to YouTube. Okay, we had a little bit of a wibbly wobbly update yesterday. I did a 20.5-hour stream going for the Radiant Oathplate kit, and I did end up getting it at the end of the stream. I pushed through. I was world's fourth. That's uploaded. So I wanted to say, and I've said this a lot the past few videos, not to personally attack JMods. I'm saying it again because a lot of JMods were popping in my chat and other people's chat, talking about stuff, quickly hotfixing problems, and getting personally attacked for it. Seriously, there's no need for that. JMods are super passionate. They care about the game. Mod Goblin and Mod Rice came in at 2 a.m. to hotfix these contracts to allow us to get Oathplate on their weekend. They came in at 2 a.m. So like, mad respect. I think Mod Lenny as well came in. A lot of JMods came in at 2 a.m. on their weekend and came and fixed these so we could at least do it. So shout out to them. It's no singular JMod's fault. They work as a team. You know, mistakes happen. There's no need to personally attack. That being said, it's important to give feedback when there is issues, and I'm here to do that. So I'm showing this on the screen. This is like Modnox's like response. He was getting a bunch of hate. Modnox didn't do anything, and he was hanging out in my chat as a on his personal Twitch account, just hanging out and having a good time in the chat, and was getting attacked for individual snippets of his chat messages were being taken out of context and being ripped apart on Reddit. So don't do that, okay? But anyways, I wanted to give the rundown. If you missed it, like what exactly was going on. Contracts came out, and I was there immediately as they came out, and we were trying them. It turned out the contracts were really, 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 really hard. I mean, they are harder than Blorva. Even after hot fixes, now that they're possible, I would say it's much harder than Blorva. We were rinsing through contracts like crazy. Anyone that was going for this was rinsing through contracts. Meanwhile, these have a volume of 5, which has not been fixed yet. They're waiting to add that to the next update. They said they had to do a cold fix on that. They could not hot fix that. By the way, it took me about 200 contracts to get my final kit. It's going to be a minute. It's going to be a minute before you can go grab that. But yeah, so the daily volume was screwed up. The other thing that was screwed up is the drop rate on these contracts, which they've changed these repeatedly. But what it was before launch was a 1 in 20 at a dossier in solo. This is solo scale. I'm going to do all the numbers in solo. It was a 1 in 20 at a dossier, and then it was a 1 in 33 per contract. So you had a 5 in 33 chance at one of these Oathplate kit contracts. So that's about 15% of the dossiers would give you one of these contracts at a 1 in 20 rate, roughly 125 KC per one of these contracts. Based on my, 200 contracts required to get my kit, for me, it would have taken me 25,000 Yama kills. 25,000, not 2,500, 25,000. In theory, if this was the rate they stuck with, how long this would have taken me is 2,100 hours. And I further extrapolated that just to see what my log would look like. If I had killed Yama 25,000 times, I would actually have had 125 pieces of Oathplate armor on average. These are all averages. I could have gotten lucky or unlucky. I could have more of these. I would have had 83 Soul Flame horns, and I would have had an average of 10 of the pet drops. Okay, so that's what my log would have looked like to get my kit overall. Absurd to say the least. So knee-jerk, as soon as like they saw, okay, things are screwed up, they went, and they changed everything. Okay, so this is what it is now. They had actually buffed it from 1 in 20 to 1 in 17 already. A very, very slight buff. And then they went, okay, that wasn't even close to enough. So they pulled the shotgun. And they just blew all the rates open. So here it is now, 1 in 17 to 1 in 12. Very significant buff on the dossier drop rates. Dossier weightings adjusted to reduce number of teleports and increase the number of purifying sigil contract. Purifying is the Radiant kit sigil contracts. Contracts of acquisition, those with tradable rewards, have had their weightings adjusted so that they'll be obtained at approximately the same rate as before. So they didn't want the rare contracts being dropped more often, but the kit ones were way too rare. They then made it drop 3 at a time. They buffed the rate, they reduced teleports, so you have a higher chance of getting it, and then it's 3 times as many when you do get it. Just a slight buff. And then the contract drop rate from demons in the chasm are 3 times more common, so they tripled them, and you also still get 3 at once from the demons. So 3 times more common, and you get 3. And then fulfilling the condition for the active sigil makes contracts 2 times more common. So this is if you kill the demon the correct way, you were getting 3 times. So it was 3 times higher rate doing them like with their special. And then special attack glyph. This is the most annoying one where you have to kill them with a spec. Basically requires a purging staff. Makes contracts 5 times more common rather than 3 times more common. So they made the annoying one drop even more often, meaning they're 10 times more common than the default rate. So literally like 5 to 6 times faster drop rates here, which is, yeah, that's fair. That's what they needed to be at. Like, this is not even like a bad change. Like, this is what the contract should have been dropping at. We had no idea how difficult these would be. I personally was thinking like, man, I'll get this done in like 5 5 attempts or something probably, and I sold half of my contracts. I said, this is going to be a huge waste of money. They're going to drop in price because people are going to finish this instantly. And I just got rid of them because I'm like, there's no way they have these crazy drop rates and they're not easy. Well, I guess not, because they are the hardest thing ever added to the game. Impossibly slow. 2 of them. Impossibly so difficult. Yeah, I was way wrong. I wish I was right, but yeah, these were extremely tough and they just knee-jerk changed the weightings. Very glad they did that because I would have run out of money. I probably would have been chopping up Hedron's bank and my bank just to be able to get more attempts in. I would have been out of money rapidly. Thank God I only lost like 300 mil on bugged contracts and I didn't lose like billions and billions because that's what I would have had to do. I was buying the contracts before release, like trying to stock up on some. I got about 50 of each. I was paying 3 to 5 mil, a little over $1 bill on contracts before release. And then right after they made this change, they dropped like, some of them are like 100K now. They're like 1 to 500K. And even then, I wasn't able to go buy them because it still had the volume of 5. So I'm like trading people. Hedron's collecting from people at the GE. Like people are selling to her. She's buying as many as she can to help me go for this contract. Without like a community backing me, I would have just been out. I would have been done. I even with my alts and stuff buying contracts, I would not have had enough attempts. So very lucky I had resources to like manage to get more. But for the normal person doing this, like a solo player, like not a streamer, like someone who's just good at the game and wants to give these a shot, it was impossible. And a lot of people just like gave up. Even super high tier good players that don't have a following, they just gave up. So a shame, like the contract system really screwed these bosses. Like they made them unapproachable, which is what I was concerned about. And I was completely 100% correct. They gated these off and I know they're going to fix the volume in a week. So at that point, it'll probably be semi-okay. They're fairly low cost. But yeah, the fact they had the gall to say this is better than Awaken bosses is crazy. Very crazy. This is a far worse system than Awakener's Orbs. Even at this point, the best way to get contracts is not kill Yama, it's kill the trash mobs. So if you are an Iron Man who's incredibly good at the game, I'm thinking the players like Mutz, the players like Lake, the extremely good Iron Men that want to go give this a shot, well, grab the lawn chair because you're going to be sitting at demons for thousands and thousands of KC. That's the best way to approach these contracts. It makes no sense that the main way you would gather these is doing the easier, like more AFK content. Like surely the boss should be dropping the bulk of these. And then the trash mobs are an option for like other players to produce supply. It's just so backwards. Personally, I think even having the trash mobs at all was a complete joke because we've seen bots. Huge bot farms are farming contracts. Even right now, if you go there, hop around, they wear granite, they wear a black mask, they're using a Sarah sword. They're everywhere. They're on every world. There's huge bot farms killing these for contracts. So it's less about wealth redistribution this time and more about redistribution to bots' pockets. So good job. We did it. This was not a good system. And shout out because Goblin immediately hopped on Reddit. Hey, you guys have been heard loud and clear. I don't foresee us touching a similar system again unless it's something worked through with players from the ground up. Work's still ongoing to improve rates for Yama's contracts too, but just wanted to jump in quickly. So bravo, appreciate that. I don't know why the message didn't get through the first time with Awakener's Orbs. Really, nobody liked those. And the fact they decided to still go with a system like this is ludicrous. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I feel like I was right on basically everything leading up to this update, but I don't know everything. It's more important that Jagex, it's not important that Jagex listens to me. It's important that they listen to the player base. Like everybody was saying, this is a bad idea. This has bad vibes written all over it. People on Reddit were like, I'm concerned. The volume's too low. The drop rates are ridiculous. They're really slow to get. The fact that they were this hard on top, like they knew behind the scenes how difficult these were going to be and still made it like this it's rough. Like they should be listening to feedback from not just me, like everybody, because everybody was saying this. It wasn't just me. Speaking of nerfs, I wanted to talk about this as well because I haven't covered this in a video. When Oathplate came out originally, Yama release, they had a 30% nerf to the rate of, I think, all the rares. I think Soulflame Horn and Oathplate. They used to be, roughly 1 in 400 per piece, so now they're 1 in 600. I don't think we had the exact rates then, but they made it a 30% slower to get. Oathplate is far too common. It's far too common, even post-nerf, and I know this is not going to be what a lot of people want to hear, because even that first nerf was so controversial. There were people hate mid-level players, they hate people without a lot of time to play the game. We'll talk about that in a second, like the overall idea of rare drops. But currently, max F, okay, these are solo rates, by the way, so it's double for duo. So you'd expect 1,200 duos for this is 1 in 600 per piece. So you have a 3 in 600 chance every time you get a kill. So any piece of Oathplate is 1 in 200. Also, there's these Oathplate shards, if you haven't seen. These drop 12 in solo, 6 in duo, so it's just 12 shards. You need 450 to create any piece of Oathplate you want. You can go forge it. Roughly, with a 1 in 17 drop rate, this equates to about 620 kills to get another shot at another piece of Oathplate. So, in 600 kills, you're getting 3 pieces of Oathplate. If you get a dupe at that point, you can forge another piece of Oathplate. Really good gear. Doing like decent tech, you can get about 12 kills per hour. 12 kills per hour at 600, 50 hours to get full Oathplate. And I'm giving max F rates, right? Reasonable to expect, you know, lower gear, not the best player, 60 to 70 hours. It's not high enough because 60 to 70 hours is fairly close to how long it takes to get Bando's armor. Bando's respawns in 1.5 minutes. Takes maybe a minute to kill him. So you're expecting like 2.5 minutes if you're going to go grind Bando's. It's a long grind to get Bando's. So when this exists and it's like, hey, this armor is fairly quick to get. The kills aren't super difficult. The boss fight is not easy by any means, but you definitely can do it. The barrier to entry is low because Biss is Emberlight. It's not Scythe, it's not Shadow, it's Emberlight. Emberlight is the best weapon you can use, so it's fairly quick to access. Synapses are like 70 mil. A 70 mil item being the best weapon you can use on a boss is a very, very low barrier to entry. And now people are going to type, Gnomonkey thinks 70 mil is no money. No. I'm talking Biss. 70 mil for the best item at a boss is super low. Compare that to almost any other boss, you won't see it. This is basically the lowest cost for a Biss weapon on any boss in the game. So the barrier to getting super fast kills is low. The drop rates are high. You can solo if you want to. Duo is available if you want to, but solo is totally fine. There's nothing super difficult about solo besides the enrage being long. You definitely can easily get solo kills. So all of this adds up to make Oathplate very, very, very easy to get. And if we take a look at the prices of other items, I wanted to show Bando's chestplate and Torva plate body. We can see the price is plummeting. It's plummeting rapidly. It's from 25 mil down to 20 mil. I would assume this will continue to drop. Here's Torva plate body. These graphs look very similar, don't they? They look very, very similar. And if you look at the year on Torva plate, look at that. Look at that. Like it was 400 mil in September of 2024. Now we're down to 270. Stuff is plummeting in price. Here's Oathplate. Oathplate almost costs the same as a Torva plate body, the whole set. And it's better than Torva majority of the time. And that was really contentious too. It turns out with melee, most of the time you're slashing. So anytime you're slashing, this armor's better than Torva. So where is Torva good now? Basically, it's just Toa. There's a couple of minor bosses here and there where it has some use. But for the most part, Oathplate just edges out Torva entirely. I'd say 80% of the time. At least Torva helmet is good because you maintain max hit with Scythe. But yeah, Oathplate kind of just knocks Torva out. Torva's dropping in price. Bando's is dropping in price. Oh my, look at the face guard. I just pulled that up. Look at that. It was at 25 mil and it's just plummeting. Like all these items, like they're just plummeting in price. As a moneymaker, these are dropping in price. As an Iron Man, you just skip them. We're knocking out other pieces of content in favor of new content. We just replace the old with the new, which sometimes makes sense, but these are bosses people like killing, like Bandos, Nex. Okay, I guess that's contentious. Maybe some people don't like Bandos and Nex, but still, like we're just knocking old content out completely. Like you just skip it now. Moon's had a similar thing going on with Blood Moon, where Blood Moon had the same strength bonus as Bandos, and then higher mage defense, so it was better than Bandos in a couple cases. Worse regular defenses, so it was like kind of questionable if Bandos was ever better, but like Moon's did a similar thing where it kind of made Bandos a lot less relevant, but it was a lot better with Moons because you still needed to go grind other items. Like you still needed to go get a Bofa. There were still cases where you would want Bandos, like that tankiness comes in handy at like Chambers, in Toa for like certain methods like with Baba. Like there were still reasons to go get Bandos, but Oathplate is endgame armor. It's knocking the whole progression of everything out. This is the final tier of armor you need. You're done once you get it, basically. It really cuts out a huge chunk of content compared to like the moon skipping. I don't think this is healthy for the game to keep doing. I'm worried about like Mocha with the wand drop. Is that going to be like a 20-hour grind to get the wand? Are you just never going to need a Sang or a Trident or anything? Are you going to skip everything with Mocha too? Like, is this the new thing they're going to do? It concerns me. I don't want them to make all this other content irrelevant. Like there's a time and a place for not super long grinds, but I really feel this needs another nerf. 50 to 70 hours to clog this boss is not long enough. for its difficulty. It's not justified. If this was Fasani's drop table we're looking at, I think I could see that. Like, that would make sense. Fasani's really long kills, like 8 minutes. It's really, really, really hard. It one-shots you constantly. If we're looking at Ink here and like the harm orbs are 1 in 300, like I'd be like, okay, it makes sense in this case. I don't think Yama's the same. I really feel it needs another nerf. Somewhere closer to over 100 hours to complete the set, I feel like would make more sense. And I think the community would never allow this to happen, like what I'm thinking, because we already saw people complain like crazy as soon as they nerfed it by 30%. Like, it feels like the community holds them back from making any balance changes. It's such a shame, because I feel like the integrity of melee armor as a whole is now going to be at least ruined until the next Abyss armor comes out, which who knows how long that's going to be. It could be 3 years, it could be 5 years before we see new Abyss armor over Oathplate. So like, we've completely killed Bandos and Necks now. Okay, enough yapping about drop rates or whatever. Like, you can agree with me or disagree with me on that, whatever. What is not good are contracts, and I can proudly say, as the 4th person to get Oathplate, it's not a skill issue. I'm good at the game. I can do these. They are not good. They are not fun. They are not engaging. The go-to on anybody complaining about these right now is, you are mad because you are bad. That's the go-to on all of these. And I wanted to break down exactly how you do these and why people find them unfun. I would heavily compare this to Toa. One of them in particular is just direct Toa invocations. We'll get to that. It seriously mirrors like Toa difficulty, a lot of these, where it's like, it's just the Yama fight except he one-shots you. It's just the Yama fight except this happens. It's just the Yama fight except this. We don't have like rapid attacks coming out. We don't have new mechanics. We don't have us keeping up with a bunch of stuff, juggling 40 balls. Like, it's less like that and more like you trying to stay focused because there's nothing going on. And if you lose focus for just a second, you die instantly. But I'm going to go through and explain these. We'll go over the 2 that were broken and I'll explain why. So I'm just going to go in order. We first have the contract of forfeit breath. It says Yama drains challenger's stamina passively. This means is every 4 game ticks, you will lose 1 run energy. Yama drains challenger's stamina on dealing damage. Direct 1-to-1 damage dealt with anything, even touching the glyphs, which hurt you a little bit. Challenger loses upon reaching 0 stamina. When you run out of run energy, you die. That's it. You're dead. Instantly dead. And Yama's no longer weak to Demon Bane, and it's solo. All of these are solo. Not all of these are not weak to Demon Bane, but most of them are. One thing that's not on the contract, and this is kind of a through line, there's little curveballs for no reason, and things that don't apply to everything in these contracts that aren't written on the paper. You cannot kill the Void Flares with Demon Bane. And you go, oh, but he's not weak to Demon Bane, of course. That is not true on several other ones. You can still use Demon Bane on the Void Flares. I think on every other single one. There might be one other. Regardless, there's a couple that say he's not weak to Demon Bane, but you can still use Demon Bane on the Void Flares. This one you cannot. This is kind of really annoying on something that has such a huge value to go attempt when there aren't clear on the stipulations. There's so many things like this where a mechanic is changed and it doesn't say it on the piece of paper, which is fair enough. I think they want us to discover how to deal with things on the fly, but stuff as simple as what weapon to bring should not be like questionable when the contract tells you stuff like this. The contract to forfeit breath as a fight, one of the easier contracts. I'd say it's in the bottom 2 probably, like easiest contracts. Still extremely difficult. I think this one took me 10 to 15 contracts, something like that. It is a very hard fight. It encourages you to kind of think outside the box for ways to restore energy. I was using the cooked kebabs food. It heals like 23 health and it gives you 10 run energy. I don't feel like this is suitable for a kit contract though, because it is as gimmicky as a gimmick can get. It's don't let your energy hit 0. This would have made so much more sense as a fun gimmick for like the worm contract. Oh, it's just normal Yama, except your stamina is a resource you've got to keep track. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, what is not said on these is when it says in the contracts as well that some of Yama's strength will be increased. Basically, all of these have extremely high health. The lowest any of the contracts have is 3,000. One of the contracts, he has 4,000 health. So he has a tremendous amount of health, higher defense, higher stats. He hits you harder. All of these have that going on. Basically, this one was fairly straightforward, just kind of a boring fight, very gimmicky. Moving on to the contract of glyphic attenuation. I actually kind of like this one. This is one of the glyphs one of the contracts I like better. It still has a bunch of problems. I'll just explain how it worked. Glyphs protect you for less time and are more punishing. You have roughly a 4-tick window, I want to say, for the glyphs to block attacks. So you have to step on them with proper timing, fairly close to when they go off. Yama is now weak to crush and nothing else. Challenger's prayer bonus affects their drain rate inversely. So the higher your prayer bonus, the faster it drains your prayer. And Challenger's prayer bonus increases the damage they deal. So the higher your prayer bonus, the faster your prayer drains, but the more damage you deal. This doesn't really have any effect on the contract, you don't really feel the extra damage. You really feel the prayer bonus. I tried it in Sunfire armor, and it was draining prayer like every single game tick. It felt like testing out the ancient prayers when those were beta testing, where it drains stupidly fast. You're constantly chugging pray pots. So I put the Sunfire armor away immediately, pulled out ink. I had like 13 prayer bonus, and then it just drained a little bit faster. It didn't feel that bad, but also I didn't feel like I was hitting any harder. This feels like really, again, it feels like a Toa gimmick or something like that, where like this doesn't really have any effect on the challenge, and the challenge really is just you have to melee him the whole time, and he has high stats. Also, when it says glyphs are more punishing, what that means is if the boss is next to the, if you haven't seen Yama, there's an effect where when Yama's close to the glyphs and you step on them, the orange glyph hits you for 12. If Yama is far away from the glyph, a lot of people don't know this, if Yama's far away, it hits you much less. For this one, it hits you 36, destroys your health if you just play like normal and just step on the glyphs as normal. What you need to do is get the boss far away from the glyphs and then step on them. So basically phase 1 and 2 is like lure the boss away from orange, wait for him to do the special, run over to it and then run back to him and then start luring him away from the other one, repeat ad nauseum. I had fun meleeing him last phase. I learned no fly. It's really hard. It's a fun method. I might end up making a guide on it soon. We'll see, because I think I could explain how to do it. It's fun doing that method. I went and learned it right before contracts came out, and then this one requires you do it. Kind of cool. You can't do the typical dono fly methods and you're forced to melee P3. That's the real challenge of this one, and it is fun, but it feels just like a CA. Like if there was a hard mode Yama and the CA was do hard mode Yama with just melee, that's what this contract would be. It would be the same. It would be the same. It doesn't feel like I was fighting Awakened Yama. It felt like I was doing a CA where I had to melee him. So even this one that was fun, like I had fun with, the challenge, it just wasn't that interesting. It was not that deep, not that interesting. There's not a ton of mechanics going on. It's mostly just, do you know how to melee last phase? This is kind of the through line with all of these. He has a ton of health. He takes forever to kill, and it's like 1 or 2 gimmicks going on. Sensory clouding. This is also a decent contract. I like this one a lot. And this one, the change is more interesting than just like melee him. Yama's attacks have increased prayer penetration. What this means in practice is that if he melees you, he'll murder you. I saw him hit 40 through melee prey. Yama can pursue forever. That's as straightforward as it gets. He never stops chasing you. Even in P3, he's walking towards you. Anything that's like Dono Fly or anything like that doesn't work last phase. Void Flare explosions are lethal. So if you don't catch a Void Flare, it kills you. I even tested things like Hot Rock Cake Stall with P-Neck, Redemption, things like that. The typical things to survive things that typically one-shot don't work. They don't. You just die. The P-Neck doesn't go off. Nothing saves you. This kills you no matter what. So you have to kill them in time. There's no cheese way around it as far as I know. Challenger has 50% reduced attack range. Think Myopia 3. You have Myopia 3 for this fight. And in my video, I had a big like line of sight black line of sight like lines around myself so I could tell what my range was. That's why that was there. The reason this one was fun is not P1 and 2. Those were a complete slog. Incredibly boring. All of these fights are in the realm of 6 to 15 minutes. This is one of the longer ones. I think it took me like 12 minutes to kill him. And most of them are fairly straightforward phase 1 and 2, and then 3 is the really hard thing. That last phase, though, was a great time. He's walking towards you. I was doing no fly while he's walking towards me, and then the orbs spawn far away, and you are running around the room trying to catch the void flares. He's walking towards you. You're dodging through waves. There is so much going on. This is such a simple change, but it completely changes P3. And I actually really enjoyed this one. I don't think this one would work as a CA. So this is like the one contract that has a mechanic that completely changes how he works in a really interesting way. So I feel like this one was really, really close to being a really good boss fight. So props on this one. This is a really, really tough one. I'd say this is probably the second hardest one. And I also had a lot of fun with it. So mad props on this one. I'll at least give him credit on that. I like this one. And that'll be probably the last nice thing I say because I don't like the other two. What's so convenient is the wiki lists them out in order of which ones worked and which ones didn't work. So these two were broken. So let me explain Divine Severance first. Divine Severance is the worst contract, and it's not the hardest one. It might be the easiest contract. It is the worst contract. It is the worst design contract, and the fact it made it into the game boggled me. I literally had a meltdown on stream. Just being completely honest, I saw what the mechanics are, and I lost my mind. Yama deactivates protection prayers on site. So in my head before release, I went, okay, it's probably just Fasani. He'll shut your prayer off. You've got to turn it back on. Wrong! Wrong! That's not what it is. You can have your prayer up for 1 game tick, and it will be disabled for 5 game ticks. All prayers must be tick perfect. That's what the mechanic is. You must turn the prayer on as you get hit. Yama no longer penetrates prayers. Yama spawns void flares continuously. What this means is every 10 seconds he spawns a void flare. One of those orbs. Okay, that's annoying. Void flare explosions are lethal. Don't catch them in time, you're dead! I tried everything I could to survive this. Nothing works. Like I said before, Hot Rock Cake, P-Nex, Redemption doesn't matter. You don't catch this orb, you're dead. They hard patched anything that would typically work for surviving lethal damage. Nothing works. And even if something does work that survives this lethal damage that somebody hasn't figured out, there's some incredibly, maybe you need a Gnomecopter call at the same time as you do a snowball toss and you do a spin with a cow stall. He heals to full health as soon as one of these go off. It doesn't matter. Even if you survived it, he's full health. So it doesn't matter. You have to catch them all. Even if there's some cheese way of getting around it, you have to catch every single one. This contract is Kefri Medic with Tick Perfect Prayers, and it's Kefri Medic if a swarm went in, it doesn't just heal the boss, it kills you. Not a joke. That is this contract. This one boggles the mind, and it's not even the hard one. So anyone that wants to say, you just don't like it because this is the easiest contract. Unironically, this is easier than Forfeit Breath. This should be the easiest contract for anybody to complete. Holy, it's horrible design. This feels like they couldn't think of a fifth way to make the boss fight and went, what mechanics do we have lying around? What's left? Oh, the boss is gonna come out soon. Kefri Medic! Zip. We need more than Kefri Medic. It kills you! That's still not enough, man. That's just like one thing. Tick Perfect Prayers. All right, boss is coming out tomorrow. What? It has to be a joke. No. Come on. We can do better than that. This one's a bummer. I don't know what else to say. This is just bad design. It's not too hard. It's stupid. It is not a good challenge. It's not an interesting challenge. You don't feel like, yes, I did it. When you complete it, you feel like, oh, I paid attention for 12 minutes. All right, it's done. Thank God. I don't want to do that anymore. And then you leave and you never come back. That's this contract. This one was impossible to complete at release. Why was it impossible? I'm going to show you a noob type clip because he was as far as I know, he was the first to get to last phase, which is what makes it impossible. So let's peek this clip. Every single one of the void flares you have to kill, and if you don't, you die, and the boss heals to full. This is noob type's final phase. He has an orb on the screen. Let's see what happens. Another orb is spawned. Now, what you can see, he doesn't have his camera fully zoomed out. If you look at the minimap here, see these orange dots? This one is Yama. These 3 dots are orbs. So it has spawned an orb here, and there's also one off screen in the corner. Now notice that its health is full. It's full health. Let's keep watching. Oh, another orb just spawned. Okay, so what this means, you can kill one of these in minimum 2 hits. They have 140 health, and he's hitting, I believe it's 84 in max mage with Purging Staff. That's the highest damage you can possibly deal. Shadow deals less damage. Special attacks deal less damage. People were considering maybe Volatile Staff would do more damage. There is no way to kill these in less than 2 hits. There are 3 orbs that have just spawned. They explode after 20 ticks. Okay. Are we following? You need to kill them or they kill you. There's 3 of them needing a total of 6 attacks. They kill you after you do 4 attacks. Let's keep watching for the inevitable end of this clip.
Why is there 3 of them?
Why is there 3 of them? I'm dead. So people are in the chat. They're theorizing. Gnomonkey, there's got to be some way. There's got to be some way. Maybe you can beat him DPS check. The boss's health when these spawned was 800. You can't kill 800 health in that time. He actually got here a second time to confirm. They always spawn like this at around 800 health. There is no way to kill the boss in time. Oh, Gnomonkey, you idiot. It's holy. I saw the Reddit post after this and people were just like pulling out the red disc theories. They're like, some guy was just like, I threw 1 holy water and it one-shot the void flares, just like straight up lying, Mew under the truck bullshit. No way, these streamers are too stupid to try stuff like this. He lied, by the way. That had like 80 upvotes and like everyone was like preaching it like in multiple Reddit threads, like, yeah, holy water's the key. I saw some guy saying, you need a Din's Bulwark to hit all of them. The Din's Bulwark doesn't reach all of those, even if it did do enough damage to kill them, which it doesn't. It doesn't reach all of those. oh, you have to do a spin with a red party hat on a Tuesday. Well, it's raining. That's what they expect you to do. All bullshit. You know what happened? You know what actually happened? Exactly what I said. It's bugged. I said, I'm not doing that contract anymore. It's bugged. I'll wait for them to hotfix it. Well, guess what? The hotfix came. Goblin, the team came in at 2 a.m. and they hotfixed it. This is what was happening. The contract was acting as a duo encounter, meaning players could bring a friend, and that void flares had twice as much HP as intended. They made it duo on accident. That's what happened. The orbs had double health, and they made it duo. On the contract that specifies, Challenger must be alone, by the way. So all the genius Redditors, 0, Gnomonkey 1. We'll take it. It was bugged. It was impossible to complete. And this brings into question, like, the fairness of this when there's paid entry to a boss. We don't know it's impossible until the last phase, and we're spending money on it. It's not fair to release contracts in this state. I said, I haven't talked about this one yet, but Bloodied Blows was the first one I tried. I used so many contracts, and it turned out the last phase was impossible. The fact 2 of these contracts were impossible is insane to me. And a huge failure on Jagex's part. A huge failure. Even if these were free to access, I'd be really, like, upset. But the fact, like, people lost hundreds and hundreds of mils to these is ridiculous. Like, it's so unfair. I don't think they're going to refund people money either. I don't think anyone's going to get their money back on these that spent a bunch of time trying and labbing and trying snowball tosses with red party hats while spinning. There just wasn't. There was not a way. It was impossible to kill these. Not impossibly hard. It was impossible. And people wasted hundreds of mils trying. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. The QA on this that's ridiculous. To allow something like this to come into the game is a shame. It's a complete shame. These players are not going to be refunded money. I'm not just salty because I lost 300 mil. I'll be okay. I have enough money. But there's people that immediately gave up. Sax immediately gave up. He was trying Bloody Blows for a while, and he just gave up. Like, wasting too much money. Turns out it was impossible. What a surprise. Like, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. And how are you going to trust Jagex on these contracts that cost... They were 90 mil before release. I think this one is like 60 mil right now. To go give these a shot when there's contracts that are literally impossible? Are you going to go risk 60 mil per attempt on a contract like this when 2 of the other ones were impossible? I'm not trying this one. I don't want to. Are you serious? That's crazy. Maybe it looks possible until you get to the last phase and I spend maybe a bill on these contracts before getting there, and then I get to last phase and find out it's impossible. Are Jagex going to refund me? No, they're not. I'm not going to spend money trying this. Shout out to somebody else who has bills to go try this content. I'm not going to do that. I have no intention of trying that. Let's move on to the last contract. There were 5 total. This is the final one, Bloodied Blows. This is the hardest contract, by far the hardest. I would say this one is 2 times harder than any of the other contracts. Even Sensory Clouding, I'd say this one is 2 times harder than that one. This one is much, much, much harder than any of the other. I used, I want to say 80 contracts on this one alone, 80 contracts. So let's read. Void flares are spawned in higher quantities. Okay, what this means is that when Yama does his sick, nasty special attack on phase 1 or 2, where he spawns orbs, it's 2 times as many. There's 4 orbs on the screen. Void flares are more resistant to attacks. Now, we were theorizing all kinds of things before this came out. What the heck that means? This is what it means. You aren't guaranteed to one-shot them. You're also not guaranteed to hit them. So you can splash on the orbs, and you're not guaranteed to one-shot them anymore. That's what this means. Okay, then there's this line. Both Yama and Challenger gain Wretched Strength. Wretched Strength is the name of the Darok set effect. So everybody was guessing, we'll have like double damage at 1 health. Wrong. That's not what it is. You'd be surprised. It's the lower your health is, the higher your minimum hit is. So if you're at 1 health, you are guaranteed to hit your max hit. That's how it works. And then it scales, like from minimum hit to your max hit randomly, but the floor is your minimum hit. Now you still can miss. This doesn't increase your accuracy, but when you do hit, your minimum hit will be increased. And then Yama's no longer weak to Demon Bane weaponry, so the classic. So effectively the challenge is you have to be low health to kill the orbs. It's the only way to kill them in time. Otherwise, it takes too many hits to kill them fast enough. The higher quantities of Void Flares basically just means you're forced to use the glyphs to block them. The Void Flares on last phase, you have to be low health or you don't kill them in time. So effectively, the reason this one is so hard, the minimum health you need in Max Mage to one-shot Void Flares is 15. You must be at 15 health or lower to be guaranteed to one-shot Void Flares. Now, I said guaranteed. You can still splash in Hyper Giga Max Mage. Fun fact, Purging Staff actually does work, even though it says no longer weak to Demon Bane. So just like what I was saying earlier with, you know, these lines not matching, you can still, and you have to use a Purging Staff on this. If you walked in without a Purging Staff, guess what? You were guaranteed to lose this fight. So that's unfortunate. Regardless, what this means is you have to do the last phase, camping 15 health or lower, and something not mentioned on the contract, this might tie in to Yama gaining Wretched Strength, I'm not sure. Yama chips you for a max hit of 12 on the last phase. So the challenge is you must camp 15 health or lower, and Yama chips you for 12s through prayer. So not only is it be perfect through the last phase, be completely perfect, don't mess anything up or you die instantly because you'll be far too low health. Anything would kill you at that health. Literally anything. Almost, I was trying for a while to camp like 50 health. The meteors hit you for 50. And off prey hits you. I got hit for a 70 ranged hit last phase. A 70 ranged hit. So there is no way to survive anything anyways. You have to camp low health. Any mistake kills you. And if you don't kill the Void Flares fast enough, that also kills you. And you're required to be 15 health to kill them. On top of Max Mage still having a chance to splash. Noob type, poor noob type, man, because he was trying this one so hard and he didn't manage to get it by the end of the night. He had splashed so many times, he pulled out the Third Age Amulet for higher accuracy, just to have a slightly lower chance of splashing. One of the quirks with Mage is that no matter what Mage gear you're wearing, you always have a chance to splash under normal conditions. If you remember crabs, before they changed them in Chambers, I have splashed on those in Max Mage with a Shadow. That's 500 Mage bonus. I have splashed on them. It doesn't matter what your Mage bonus is. If they don't make it guaranteed to hit them, you can splash. This is the hardest challenge by far. You're forced to camp low health, keep raising your health with Guthix Rest, and keep your health super low the whole time while also doing everything perfectly. There's also just RNG. If you splash on the orbs, you die. You die. Unlucky. I can't stand this one. This is the hardest one by far. I can't stand it. I think it's a cool concept at the end to be forced to keep low health and juggle your health higher. I like it conceptually. What I would tweak, and I think this needs to be hotfixed, I really do. What they need to change is guaranteeing you hitting the Void Flares. I don't care if it's not guaranteed max hit, but you need to be guaranteed to hit them. The splashing on the Void Flares is the dumbest thing ever. There should be no RNG chance in failing this if you play perfectly. That is so dumb. The other thing that needs to be changed is him hitting you 12 through prayer just doesn't work. I feel that the max hit, I know, the max hit through chip should be 10. And the reason it should be 10 is in the case of you being at 12 health. Let's say you get hit down to 12 health by a chip. Let's say you were at 15 health. Okay, you were camping perfectly from the judge. You got your health down to 15. You're like, all right, I'm ready to hit this boss. Yama then hits you 12. Yama then hits you 3. What do you do now? You're on 12 health. The next hit is a chance. You have to heal. But what can you heal with? That's not hard food because the Void Flare spawn very quickly. What do you heal with now that doesn't have attack delay? That's still a potion-based heal that gets you below 15. There's nothing in the game. There's nothing in the game that does that. What you have to do currently is Guthix Rest, and then rock cake your health back down to 15 in this case. It's overtuned. If he chips you 10 through prayer as a maximum, that means in that case I just said you're on 12 health, that's fine. You just stay at 12 health and you don't attack again. Let's say the next hit hits you down to 10. He hits you for 2 damage on the next hit. Now what do? You sip 1 Guthix Rest. Boom, you're at 15. You can still one-shot the flares. This seems so much more fair to me. Currently, as it stands, this is overtuned. This is unfair to the player. Beyond just the splashing, I feel the chip damage is just a little bit too high. It should max 10. So this one, I could talk about the overall design of these all day, but this needs to be changed quickly. It will at least be a fair fight. We can talk about the design of it all day, but it at least at that point is a fair boss fight that you can complete. In my completion, I chanced maybe 6 times. It's almost impossible not to chance. Either not killing the flares in one hit or chancing chip damage killing you. So to avoid it necessitating chancing effectively, it should just chip you 10, and then you can consistently keep your health high, like at the correct threshold if you play super well. I think that's at least fair. It'll still be the hardest contract by far, so I feel like that's a thing they need to do. Now, I said this one was impossible. What did you mean by that, Gnomonkey? How was this one impossible? Okay, you remember how I said you need to be at low health to kill those void flares? That didn't work. It just didn't work on them. When you hit them, it would do normal damage. There was no raised minimum hit. So when you get to that last phase where you have to kill 2 void flares that have a bunch of health, good luck. Good luck. I hope you hit the right number. Basically, what it was doing is spawning 2 arcane scarabs that necessitated you hit your max hit twice. It's impossible to do that 6 times in a boss fight. You're not going to hit your max hit twice on 2 of them 6 times. That's 12 max hits on all of it. That's not going to happen. So yeah, they just made it so the mechanic required to survive in the boss fight didn't work. Man, that's frustrating. That's really, really frustrating. And this is the one I wasted a bunch of attempts on. I got to P3 quite a few times quite early. I was trying to figure out what I was doing wrong, killing the Void Flare. This is the thing with these like mysterious new challenges. I don't know what is intended of me. I tried a bunch of things. I tried Scobo. Maybe just ranged max hits. Nope. Maybe you have to melee the orbs. Nope. I missed with melee. I missed with ranged. Neither of them max hit. And then I gave up. I said, this is too hard. We're doing something wrong. I'll wait for someone to figure it out. Well, guess what? They figured it out. It was Jagex screwed up and the mechanic wasn't working. Both of these, people had wasted tons and tons of attempts on. The most expensive contract was impossible to clear. To say this was a complete failure on Jagex's part, I think is an understatement. They screwed up this update so bad. And we can talk about the design. Just the fact that 2 of them were impossible took the wind out of everybody's sails. Nobody wanted to do these anymore. I wanted to log out at about hour 8 into my stream, and I felt like I had to continue to get this contract completed because as soon as I make this video, everyone in the comments was going to say, you're mad because you're bad. Well, guess what? I did it. I did all 5 of these challenges. They are terrible. None of them are that good. I think a couple of them have some redeeming qualities. A couple of them I enjoyed. But as a whole, this doesn't even come close to the quality of any of the Awakened bosses. Not even remotely close. When Desert Treasure 2 came out, I didn't really enjoy the base bosses, and I really wanted a challenge, and they said they were going to release Awakened bosses. I slept in. I didn't care. I said, there's no chance the Awakened bosses are going to be good. And you know what? Jagex surprised me. Awakened bosses were pretty freaking good. Awakened Leviathan was one of the best boss fights I've ever done. Awakened Vardorvis, also one of the best boss fights I've ever done. The other 2 aren't my favorite, but I honestly think those 2 are still better than any of these contracts. This update is such a flip. It's such an inverse of that, where I love base Yama. Base Yama's amazing. It has a low skill floor, like getting kills at Yama's not that hard, but improving at Yama. All the different mechanics that people have found, all the different fly methods, the Yama Dono port, Mono Hyper Giga, Kek W, Pog Flip, Kappa fly methods that people come out with every single day are so cool. The breadth of different ways that you can assist your teammate. We found a bunch of methods, me and Sax, going for world record on ways of tanking more damage. If you step away from the boss on the second Shadow special on phase 2, it does extra damage. It does double damage. You can venge everything in the boss fight. It's great. They did a great job with base Yama. That makes this even more disappointing because the base fight is so great and these are not. Do you remember what I said earlier about why would anyone try the acquisition contracts? Guess what? PSA, we're working on a hotfix to correct some wording on contracts with a guaranteed tradable outcome, meaning any contract of blank acquisition. These should state that Yama is not weak to Demon Bane weaponry within these encounters. So let's say you wanted to Hail Mary try the Oathplate contract, which costs, I think, 90 mil before release. It's around 60 mil now. You wanted to go give it a shot, and you geared up with an Emberlight. It would not work because the contract didn't say that. So to say I don't trust Jagex on any of these contracts and won't do them, understatement. Like even right here, it was bugged before like even the fight. Like they forgot a line of text. I'm not going to try them. I don't have the money for that. I don't have the money to do QA for Jagex. I don't have that. I cannot do 80 mil an attempt to QA a boss for Jagex. I can't do that. I can't. These were not made fair in the first place. I don't have the money to do it for them until they fix it and then learn it. So one of the things I've seen people throw around, why is the HLC complaining? Why are all these people complaining? You finally got your difficult update. Why are you complaining? The reason is these are difficult in the most brain dead awful way possible. In a Toa invocation kind of way, these are difficult. It's funny because even some of the acquisition ones, like the pet one, Challenger cannot heal with consumables. Challenger cannot restore prayer with consumables. Those are literally just Toa invocations. Like a lot of these are just straight up Toa invocations. We saw it with the medic contract that instantly kills you. Like a lot of these are just straight up Toa invocations. What it feels like to me is they felt like they had to one-up Desert Treasure 2 bosses. They're like, we have to make 5 super difficult boss fights to really wow the crowd. They didn't need to do that. They did not need to make 5 of the same boss fight with a Toa invocation on each one. Honestly, if they made a kit contract that was just one really hard boss fight with a bunch of cool mechanics going on, maybe he does chase you in P3. Whoa, that would be a real, you'd be like, people are struggling with all the crazy mechanics on phase 1 and 2. He attacks you super fast. You've got to use the glyphs properly. All this stuff is going on. Judges come out of the lava on the left and right side of the arena. At some point, you're like, what the hell is going on? You get to P3 and he's chasing you. You're like, what do I even do? Like, that would have been awesome. That would have been insane stream content. You'd have been like, wow, yo, Wooks just got to P3, guys. Let's go see what Wooks is up to. Oh, he just died. Whoa, Gnomonkey's giving it a shot at P3. Okay, let's go see what's going on. Like, people would have lost their mind. It would have been freaking sweet. I would have had the best time of my life. I wouldn't have wanted to log out. I'd have been like, oh, let me get back in there. I came so close that time. I'm getting the health lower each time. If anybody's done Coliseum, you know, like, every time you died a soul, you're like, oh, I got him to 800 health. I came so close, dude. Oh, next time. And then the next time you get there, you get him to 500 health. And you're like, oh, like, I'm getting there, but it's just not quite making it. It's that, but like, on crack for the streamers like going for this. It's like, oh, like the feeling of like people in the chat are like, oh, Kirby got him to this health. You're like, dang it. All right, let me give it a shot. I want to beat Kirby. And then you're like, oh, I got it lower than Kirby just got it. But then they're like, no, poor Kazar just got it to 100. You better be fast, Gnomonkey. Like the feeling of like trying to master all these mechanics rapidly while everybody's going for it. It's such a fun time. What these contracts felt like is people hit a brick wall on the 2 that were impossible. People are just randomly trying them and getting super bored on phase 1 and 2 and dying to a loss of concentration. I don't feel like people were hopping left and right between streams, like going, oh, he got it this low on this one. Oh, he got it this low on this one. Maybe a little bit with bloody blows towards the end. Like Noob Type and I were, and Wide as well. We're all streaming going for it. Wide got it first. People were getting closer, like doing a little bit better in that last phase. I feel like this is the only one that had that going on. But none of these really had that, like, the hype around it of people going like, yeah, a lot of people say that, like, the HLC finally got their tough update. This is not the tough update we were looking for. There's this concept of difficulty. There's a lot of ways to make things more difficult, okay? I'd say there's roughly 3 different ways to approach a difficulty, and you can tweak all of these to make something harder. So we have a triangle basically, and you can put your dot in the middle of the triangle at any point. You can have difficulty basically scales up with any of these you add. So these are the possibilities for making something harder. The first is time punishment. How long does it take to get back to the boss or back to whatever wave? Inferno has this pretty brutal with the time punishment, where a run takes, you know, a lot of people on their first cape 2 to 3 hours. It could take you 2 hours to get back to the hard thing. That's the big thing with Inferno, is the time punishment. The second way of making something difficult is execution. So something that has really difficult execution that I can give as an example is the end of Awakened Leviathan. He has 1-tick shots coming at you while you're moving, swapping prayers between them, and those orbs are hitting you around 40 damage every time they hit you. That's insane difficulty of execution. Awakened Vard is another good example. Axes pop under you. Those hit you for like a ridiculous number, like 70 potential max hit. He hits you constantly. You're flying through prayers left and right. The difficulty of execution on those bosses are extremely high. But what you don't see in those bosses is 2 hours to get to them. The reason that's fair is because those boss fights are 4 to 6 minutes. You get to the hard part after about 3 minutes. You can get right back in there and try it again. The third way of making something difficult is cost. So this is your death cost. This is your cost to enter the boss, Awakener's Orbs, contracts. For the most part, difficulty of execution is not what they went for. The way they made these difficult is made them incredibly long, up to 15 minutes long boss fights, huge health pools, huge defense, that has to be drained. You have to land defense draining specs on many of them. So very, very long boss fights that aren't that much harder through phase 1 and 2, maybe a little harder in phase 3. A couple of them are a lot harder, but for the most part, the difficulty of execute. I even saw in the chat a lot, people are like, man, he's struggling with the basic mechanics. It's really just focusing hard for 8 minutes of regular Yama and not ever making a mistake. They did increase the difficulty of execution, just not in a timing-based way with the mechanics. They did it in a, you get one shot if you lose focus, which is the least, this is what everybody complains about with Toa. They did that in the least fun way possible. It's not juggling a bunch of balls, like trying to do everything at once. It's trying not to lose focus and pay attention long enough to get the contract done. And then the third way is cost. Yeah, cost. I paid hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mils. I think I paid over $1 bill lost in contracts, roughly. I used about 200 contracts that cost a lot more at released, and now they're a lot cheaper, so people approaching this in the future won't be paying as much as me, but the cost is very, very high. You pay 500k death fee on top of whatever the cost of the contract is. They're very, very, very expensive to try, even with the buffed rates on the contracts. So what they elected for is extremely long boss fights with a very high cost that one-shots you constantly, effectively. Not all of these are like that. A couple of them are different, and I sung the praises of a couple of contracts, but for the most part, that's what you expect when you go for these. It one-shots you lots. The boss isn't that much harder. It's very expensive when you die, and the boss fight is very, very, very long. What a shame. What a shame. It reeks of Toa invocations. It reeks of just everything that people have said they dislike about PVM. Like almost everything in here is something that people said. People hate medic. Yama spawns void flares continuously. Let's just do it. Like people have complained about this like crazy for years, and they still are like bringing that back. Like that's crazy. There is a world where they gave him the same health. The same health as normal, the same stats as normal. But man, he just rinses you. Attack, 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 attack. The glyphs are constant. Getting the glyphs, getting the glyphs, getting the glyphs, getting the glyphs. The judges come up out of the lava. They're chucking skulls at you. You're dodging everything. You're moving constantly. You're doing all this stuff. You're trying to keep up. Phase 3, he's running towards you. Now you have to keep up with him, not getting melee. He spawns orbs when he melees you. You're juggling ball, 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 ball. You're juggle, 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 juggle. Who can juggle 20 balls at once? The fastest. Who can get the first completion? Instead, it's who can juggle one ball for 20 minutes? Who can do this? Oh, I dropped it. Oh, I'm dead. That's the problem with the contracts. It's not that they're too hard. I think sensory clouding is a good like peak difficulty contract. Bloody Blows needs to be changed so it's not so ridiculous. But yeah, these are harder than Blorva. I don't mind that they're hard. I love hard content. And I've always said I love hard content. I love good content. I sung the praises of Base Yama a lot. It's not the hardest boss ever made. Base Yama is not that hard to get clears at, but it is fun. It's fun to do. It's a fun boss fight. It has depth. It has complexity. It has mechanics. It's a fun boss fight. Chambers of Xeric has the same thing going on, where Chambers is not super hard to get a completion, but mastering Cox, that's going to take you a long time. So it has an immense amount of depth. That's what I'm looking for from content. These don't have depth. I don't want to go back and do these again. They're Toa gimmicks at best. They aren't fun. It's as simple as that. They aren't fun. The base fight is fun. These contracts are not fun to complete. I'm glad they let you have a guaranteed contract drop at the end of the fight. So if you're perfect, you can continue to do these indefinitely. I won't be interacting with that. I don't plan on going back to these ever again. I don't really want to make guides on them. I don't want to do any more content on them. Maybe if they fix them up, change them a bit. I kind of don't see them doing that. I honestly don't recommend going for this unless you are really starved for content, really good at the game, and you want to try something anyways, be my guest. But I wouldn't recommend this to people for the most part. I've been actively dissuading most people that are like on the fence about it. They're like, should I give this a shot? I'm mostly leaning towards no. So yeah, such a shame. Such a shame. This update was such a bummer. That was really the energy of the stream. It wasn't me being like pissed off or anything. It was just me going loony and being disappointed. I'm glad they're never going to do this again. I hope they've learned a lot from this and it changes how they approach content in the future. I think the big takeaway is they need to stop doing this mystery stuff where it's like, we don't tell you anything about the systems involved or anything. We didn't know anything about the contracts. We didn't even know the contracts were tradable until Goblin accidentally leaked it. And if you saw the last video on it, that's what that was about. Goblin accidentally stated that they were tradable. And then people were like, well, what does that mean? What does that entail? Turns out it was a terrible system. And if the devs polled it, talked about it with the community, that would have gotten shot down immediately. No question in my mind. No one in the community wanted this. And if they polled it, it would have failed. Keep communicating with us. Keep communicating with us. Tell us what you're doing, Jagex. Because I know it's hard. You want complete control over a piece of content, and you want that sense of mystery. You want people to try mechanics when it comes out. You gotta give us details about the stuff surrounding it at least, though. You cannot not tell us that contracts are tradable until it comes out. That was the plan. They were planning to just drop contracts that are tradable as the content dropped. The game is built around us giving feedback, polling stuff, that kind of thing. If the community is not involved in a piece, this was wrong. This was the wrong approach to the content. Just straight up, it was wrong to not poll tradable contracts. That was a mistake. They should have polled it. There was no indication whatsoever that the contracts were tradable. It's a horrible system, and they never asked anybody about it. Huge mistake. Absolutely massive mistake. Let alone the guaranteed tradable drops from contracts that potentially have bugged mechanics within, making them impossible. I don't think to this day anyone has completed any of these. I'm curious if in the coming days anybody completes these. I'll be looking out. I won't be trying them because I don't have the money for it, but I'm curious. Okay, that's my spiel. Couldn't stand the update. I did have fun with the stream. I had fun laughing about the bugs, and a couple of them were even enjoyable. But for the most part, I did not enjoy the update. and it was a complete shame. I want to say again, there's no need to directly attack any JMods. I'm giving feedback through my platform. People have given feedback on Reddit. Great to give feedback. It's terrible to attack individuals. There's no need for that. As soon as you attack individuals, they're going to close that line of communication with us. The thing I want is more open communication. I want them to talk about these mechanics with us more before release. If we bully the JMods into the ground, they're going to stop talking to us, and the updates are going to be worse for it. So you're just actively hindering the game when you directly attack people. That should be a given, but I keep saying it, and it keeps happening. So I'm going to keep saying it. Stop attacking individuals. Attack the content you don't like. Give feedback. Say, hey, I don't like this. These are the reasons why. Be clear. Explain your thoughts, and be loud. Like, say what you're thinking. But don't attack individuals. There's absolutely no place for that, and it just is going to make the game worse overall. I'm hoping in the coming days we see some. I think Jagex is on holiday through Monday, like holiday weekend, so they're probably not getting back till Tuesday. I'm hoping, at least with next update or whatever, that they fix bloodied blows. This is the biggest one I have an issue with. Like, fix that chip damage and make sure you don't splash on the void flares anymore, and then it becomes a fair contract. Hopefully they fix that, and hopefully we see some more fixes generally. Coming up. I don't think they're going to rework these. I think they just screwed up, and now here we are. Now that makes it questionable for CAs. I think they said next week or something. I saw like CAs are coming out soon. CAs are coming soon. Please don't put these on CAs. Please, I beg. This would be by far the hardest CAs in the game. They don't fit for CAs. They're broken. They're a mess. Don't put these on as a requirement for CAs. That's absurd. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. Don't require, as somebody who has completed it, don't require these for CAs. That's insanity. This is much, 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 much harder than Blorva. As it stands, please don't add them as CAs. Please, I beg. I beg, I beg. Have some restraint. Don't do this. I honestly don't want to see any of these contracts involved in the CAs whatsoever. You shouldn't have to pay money to access something to get a CA. You screwed up, leave it at that. Don't add these as CAs as a requirement for anything else. Don't tie those to anything. That would be a huge mistake. Seriously hoping they don't do that. All right, and that's it for the video. Hopefully we see some fixes in the coming days. Leave a like if you liked it, and or subscribe. See ya, fellas. Pew, 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 pew. Bye. Mwah!